Hi, Abba.
Hi, how are you?
I am fine as always. You recognize my background picture.
Yes, I saw it. I was young in this time, but already here in Israel.
You were young at this time and you were already in Israel. So you know what I want to talk to you about. Um, uh, what are you doing on this picture? You look like a
I'm
very
checking,
technical man.
no, it's a, uh machine which checks watches, and if I am not wrong, I brought it with me on Aliyah when I came to Israel,
Okay.
and it was the third machine of this kind in Israel. There were no more of that because
The
all,
third machine of this kind in Israel
yeah,
to repair watches.
yes.
So you
Thing was
are
this, that this machine tells you immediately if the watch is going too fast or too slow. You can check it. And
okay.
if the graph is coming straight, it's exactly. If it goes to the left, it's advanced, and it goes back to the right, and it's slow. And then you can uh, immediately repair it and till you come to the best quality you can come.
Okay, great. Okay, so I understand you were a watchmaker. How did you come to become a watchmaker?
Oh, that's a story.
Right,
Um,
tell me.
okay. I was in Switzerland, and
Okay,
I wanted to come to Israel to make Aliyah.
okay.
And therefore, I left the gymnasium just before the end in order to learn a profession, because in this time there was too much academic people in Israel. And
Ah,
then my
oh, Jews are clever
grandfather,
people.
pardon?
Jews are clever people. Too
Uh,
clever.
okay, clever or not clever, so it was. And we were very idealistic. And I think there was a connection that my grandfather had once a manufactory to make the cases of watches. Maybe
Okay,
that was, yes.
okay.
Anyway, uh, I decided I want to learn to be a watchmaker, and in Switzerland that's 4 years learning, and then you get from the government a certificate that you are learned watchmaker, not like here that
Ah,
everybody can say I here I
Switzerland.
can say I am painter or I don't know what. Nobody can say me not. There it doesn't go. Okay, and
That's the Schweiz.
yes, and in I just know so also when you went a little bit away, I could recognize the watch, which is now behind you are, yes, now I can see it. It's a thing. So that was when I was in the Air Force, because that's a watch which was from the pilots in this time. Yes. Okay.
Okay.
And okay, back to the story how I was it with Watchmaker. And then we went to, I don't know how you call this person, um, advisor for professions. What will be the best profession for me?
Okay.
And then he checked me. We told him that I want to be a watchmaker, and he checked me, different checks uh, to see if I could make accurate and if I have good hands. I don't know exactly more. Uh, all different of checks he made. Okay. And in the end, we said, so what now? So he said, no, I shouldn't be a watchmaker. I could be, well, I don't know what he said. Carpenter, yes, he said. So, and then my mother asked, why can it be a watchmaker?
Watchmaker.
Because he checked. Then he said, no, watchmaker is a Swiss profession. Okay, so and then when we went out, then
So
my
why
mother said,
you are a Swiss person? You're a Swiss
yes,
citizen. So why
but I
couldn't you be
told
a
him that,
watchmaker? That's a
yes,
Swiss
but I
profession.
told him I want to go to Israel. And,
Ah,
and of course he knew that I'm a
ah.
Jew. And therefore he said, that's a Swiss profession. So therefore, in the moment we came out, my mother said, okay, now you start to learn to study to be a watchmaker, because it was sure. Because if I wouldn't be able to be that, he could say, you are not accurate enough, you are something else which doesn't fit. But that he didn't say, because it wasn't true. He said that.
All
Okay.
right. So this is how you came to make Aliyah, uh, and nobody wanted to take you here because there were too many academics. And
Yes.
anyhow, Switzerland, there was no problem, and we had the people from
Okay.
the
So
Holocaust. So
okay.
they didn't want to
So
take.
yes.
How
So
did you make it
therefore,
to the
I
Air
was
Force?
matchmaker, and when I came to Israel, I knew already that I immediately will enter the army and I will serve in the Air Force.
Okay.
Because, okay, I can tell you how it was. My father was a journalist in Switzerland, and he had a Jewish Swiss newspaper, which he was the, how do you say it? The,
He
uh,
was the redactor of the newspaper.
redactor, and he gave it out. Also, he printed it also. Yes. Okay. And therefore, he knew everybody important from Israel in Switzerland, and also the Israeli ambassador in Switzerland. And he asked him, um, what do you propose for my son to make in Israel? He said, I don't know. I will ask my son. Who was his son? His son was the commander of the Air Force here in Israel. And then he got answer back. He should come immediately. I need him here. Okay. And so I came to Israel. In this time, there was a law that you can enter the Tzahal, the army, only after 1 year, because you have to know Hebrew first. But,
Okay.
always if you need something, you can make a change, you can make an exception. I was 3 weeks here in the country. They took me to the Tel Nov airport to pass uh, examinations, and within 3 months I already was in the Israeli army, a soldier.
Wow. Yeah. I remember you told me once that you were in the basic training and then you did something wrong. You should run from one side to the other or something. And then the commander told you, תגיד לי, אתה לא מבין עברית?
Yes, 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 yes.
Tell me,
Okay.
don't you understand Hebrew?
Yes,
And
exactly.
your answer
Yes.
was no, no.
Yes, and he was
Okay.
shouting me because there was such a thing. I shouldn't jump over it, and I jumped over it because he didn't understand that I shouldn't. And then he said, come here, come here, come here. That I understood. I came there. And then he showed me, don't you understand Hebrew? And then I said, no. So he was.
Okay, I want to show you another picture and tell me what do you make of this? What can you tell me about this?
That's the
Right?
church.
That's the, what is this?
It's the church in Nazareth.
That's right, the Church of Annunciation in Nazareth. Everybody can tell on your kippah that you are a religious Jew. So what do you have to do with the Church of Annunciation in
Oh,
Nazareth?
yes. Okay. That I was working in Al Khudyam in Haifa, and then somebody else, which was working there, he was working with no electronics. He told me if I cannot come there, they have problems. They got from Belgium a master clock, and that was a very complicated clock, a clock system, and that gave the beside there was a house where the sisters were, the nuns. There, it has in every stage there was a clock, and that was driven by that, and also even the um, how is Pamonim, the bells. The
The bells.
bells were driven by this clock on which time they should bell. And yes, there are the bells. But in this time, there didn't be bells there. It was only electronic, and on the roof there was loudspeakers, and they from there came out the tone. And all
Right.
this complicated clock, I can tell
Modern.
other thing. I don't want to go too much things in. Uh, it was very complicated. For instance, that she was electric, the clock, but if there was a stop in the electricity, then this, the clock automatically started mechanically to count the time until there is again electricity, and then he put himself again automatically to the right time. And this clock didn't work, and they asked, of course, all the Arabian watchmakers in Nazareth and around it, but nobody could repair it. So they called me to repair it, and of course, I succeeded. I had a few times in the night to travel from Haifa to Nazareth and to work the half night or the whole night. And in the end, I had it. And then I also get payment for it. But the bishop, I have to say, it was Bishop Hakim. Uh, he hated
Him.
Israel, but it doesn't matter very much.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
he asked me, of course, if I don't want to give it as a present to the
As a
church,
donation to the
as
church.
a donation. Yes. So I told him, if I make a donation, I make a donation, but if I work, I want to have payment. And in the end, he couldn't say nothing. I got a check from him, a personal check, because the church and the person was once the same account. And
Okay.
okay, I got the money in the end. And afterwards, Bishop Hakim went to Syria, and there he was very speaking.
Anti-Israel.
Yes, okay. So,
Yeah.
um,
Great. So this is an amazing story of a Swiss Jew who became a Swiss watchmaker, who became uh, the main watchmaker of the Israeli Air Force at its beginning, contributed to the building of the state, contributing to the building of the Israeli Air Force, but still contributing to a joint relationships as we also always have here in Israel between Jews, Christians. We have also Muslims here, and you can tell us some more stories about those times of your relationships with the
okay, yes,
Muslims. But as most of the people that I guide uh, are Christians, and probably you know that now I'm working with them, and I maybe more than 30 years I don't know how many times I was with people in this church, which is a very, very holy church for the Christians. And I never knew that you were the one that repaid it until you told it to me uh, a month ago, I think, or whenever we spoke about this. So
yes,
I really before I say to you Shabbat Shalom, I really want to say to you Toda Rabba.
Thank you very much. You are welcome. It
We
was
are
nice
all
to speak with you.
believing into one God, and you are the one who taught me the Jewish religion and also quite a lot about the Christian religion. I learned from you, as you know, because of all our contacts with Christian people. So I really wanted people to see this interview. I really wanted people to know about the Israel that is usually not shown, the Israel of
Yes, right.
wonderful coexistence with so many interesting stories. Thank
Okay.
you, Abba.
Thank you also. Bye bye.
Bye.